gets my shit confused. What's a man have to prove? Do I have to walk the knife for you? Every mountain I've climbed, there's a valley low. For every highway I ride, there's a rocky road. She's got me beat, she's got me broken, right down to my soul.
Greetings, salutations. Another
Love that.
Monday night.
Snowy Monday night.
Snowy Armageddon. Right in the heart of Stratford.
Welcome to winter.
Yeah.
You knew we were going to pay for it.
Oh, yeah. Well, we've had back-to-back great winters and then a great fall. So we knew that we were playing with the house money until this weekend.
Absolutely. First and foremost, we just want to give a shout out to our great friends at Reboot Repair, Stratford's best computer support and service, personalized IT solutions, hardware, software repairs on site for home and business. They also do great jobs with your cell phone. Should you have any issues, bring it on in. Come and see Cam and Dylan. They will take good care of you. 155 Erie Street.
SBS Metals, metal fabrication with professional craftsmanship. Stratford's preferred custom commercial and residential metal fabricator.
Oh, and Brian Hawley.
Last minute Larry.
Yeah, we're back to the last minute Larry thing. Eh?
Welcome back.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it's
yeah.
always a pleasure to be here. And I got to say, on that first note with Reboot and Repair, if you don't mind me saying so, these guys, I mean, Dylan is my own personal savior. For those who don't know, I do the stream for the Stratford Fighting Irish, and we were down. Our hardware was done. And that dude showed up at 7 o'clock on a Saturday night, brought a new laptop, downloaded the program that we run, the OBS, synced it with our camera, hooked up the mics to it, and between the start of the game and the start of the third period, about an hour and 40 minutes, he had completely changed over our hardware, and we were broadcasting in. This isn't just an advert, guys. These guys are really good at what they do.
And it was nice to see that they got a little bit of, just a little bit of feedback. The local radio station brought them donuts, and they have to be nominated for that.
Yep.
So I believe that there was a person in town or people in town that nominated them, and they got their donuts. So it's always good to see that and see the notoriety of them. A little bit of PR for them. But guys, ladies and gentlemen, great people. We thoroughly encourage you to give them a visit should you need to.
Absolutely. These guys aren't just our sponsors, folks. They actually are off the charts good. So Reboot Repair.
Well, Les, where do you want to start?
Oh, we got a busy time. Let's go with the NHL. Actually, hey, let's go with the World Juniors roster announcement because there are some notables,
Left off.
glaring noticeables left off that list.
Oh, you mean the 5 first rounders?
Yeah, I'm going to say the first one might be the guy that's leading the CHL in scoring, Michael Misa, out of Saginaw.
Yeah, he's got a bit of Yzerman flu there, doesn't he? It's just reminds you of Steve Yzerman back in the day when he was scoring 140 points a season and couldn't make Team Canada.
Did they explain why?
No, they won't.
No, and they won't likely.
No. And also, Jerome McGinley's boy, T.J. Ginla, was also left off the list.
And that's a real shocker to me.
I think that's the guy. He's got the truculence that team might need.
I wonder if that's culture.
They definitely would sit down and go, okay, how many muckers do we need? How many sniper? Like they would go through that list. Now, obviously, we're not privy yet to who and what they're looking for in each guy, right? We have contacts. Hey, we were able to get the deputy managing editor from The Athletic, so I was really shocked that 5 first-round NHL draft picks did not make the team. They didn't even get invited.
Yeah. I saw the list this morning, and I'm looking at it and going, well, where's Iginla? Where's Yamachuk? Like,
So the
Yeah,
guys,
but it's ridiculous.
I
These
don't know
guys
if-
that were left off, but
if you have them handy,
Yep.
but the 3rd overall pick, Beckett, how do you say it, Seneke?
yes,
4th overall pick, Caden Lidstrom. Now, he had back surgery last month, so, okay, fair. The 6th overall pick, Iginla. 7th overall pick, Carter Yakimchuk. And the 9th pick, Zane Perrick.
yeah. Zane Perrick's been hurt all year though, so
Has he?
I can understand that one, but I don't understand the Misa one. The guy's leading the CHL in scoring.
Well, if we have any luck, we'll get Craig Button to get in on that and explain things.
We're waiting for his text to see if he's ready to come on
Oh
Zoom.
my God, he's been on a roll this week. I think he's been in the Leafs change room giving favors. Good Lord.
Like it's a great tournament. It's a great time of year. There's always talk about the roster when it comes out, but I don't remember the last time there was this many glaring.
Is it that?
omissions.
Is it the depth of talent? I mean,
I think that's what
that's
it
a
is.
strong message to have 5 off. I think that's a rarity, if I remember correctly. Like I know, Holly, you were saying a couple names there from years past, and you know, it's they obviously know what they're doing. They're going to have
For sure.
one of the best teams in the tournament. They're going to probably, compete for the gold, and we're all going to be watching. So
What's interesting is you've got those 5 guys that aren't even invited to camp, and you got a 16-year-old and Gavin McKenna. Now,
Okay,
he's-
Gavin McKenna's going to be number 1.
right?
Yeah.
But he's the
20-year-old
leading
tournament.
scorer. He's the leading scorer for the Western League, and that's not even including Celebrini. Like
Now,
he's probably not going to be available.
here's a thought: do these players have to be released?
No,
We're sure about that?
I don't think they have to be released because it's a CHL sanctioned tournament. So
It's league policy
Yeah.
that the clubs must make the players available.
Okay.
As far as I know.
All right.
Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure
the
that's
Gavin McKenna, that kid is supposed to be better than the last 2 number 1 draft picks. So
I haven't had a good look at
First
any of the
also.
other rosters. Is there any other teams that are going to press?
the Americans are going to be deep.
Deep? Okay.
Deep, very, very deep. They probably have the 6th best defensive defensemen that are going to be in that tournament.
Sorry, say that again.
When they make their
The-
team, they're going to have the 6th best defensemen in that tournament from 1 to
Oh, okay.
6.
Okay.
There is
Perfect.
not a. I don't think on the American team it's going to be a line 1, line 2, line 3 on the defense. I think it's just going to be who's ever not tired. Let's go.
Right.
Or who's ever going.
And
Where
the
is it being held this year?
Ottawa.
Ottawa.
Oh,
And
okay.
the goaltending
Nice.
for the States is strong again.
Yeah.
So
Speaking of goaltending, congrats to Carter George,
Yes.
former St. Mary's Lincoln, who is named to the roster. I don't know if he's going to make the team or
Right.
not, but I thought he looked fantastic last
Maybe
year in
still.
the U18s.
maybe he
Right.
can get a goal.
Yeah.
Maybe he can get a goal in the World Juniors.
Yeah, maybe he'll
too.
score. Yeah, absolutely. He got one for
He's
those
already
who
done
didn't
it.
know. He got one 2 weeks ago, something like that. That was pretty cool. And so yeah, it's
isn't it always a treat though, with especially like Les and you, Holly, where you follow these players closely just with your relationships with the team, how you're following the team, and then here they are taking their next step in their career, and they have opportunities ahead of them, and do they capitalize? Do they show well? Does it change their life? Does it up them in the rankings? Does it bring teams to their doorstep asking for interviews
Yeah.
and stuff like that? Like, it's so cool.
The World Juniors can make or break a draft year for some players.
Oh, for sure.
If this guy comes out of nowhere and he's on fire and lights up the World Juniors, everybody's going to go, well, now he's moving up in the rankings. Everybody has a scout there. Everybody
Well,
has a GM there or
and
coach or whatever, right?
The
So
thing I appreciate about our great program that we have for the Canadian juniors is I love seeing these kids that maybe you don't hear about in the dub or in the queue, and they come and play for this team, and all of a sudden you're watching them every game
Right.
because they're doing some special stuff. And even though he's got a black mark on his career, Mike Babcock said the best. He goes, win or lose, these kids are coming up through the ranks. They're trying their hearts out. And you know what? The other nations are catching up to Canada, and they proved it with, some of Canada's finishes. But they're kids. It's a quick tournament. It's a junior tournament, and just keep that in mind.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
nothing
there's
less than gold, right?
two
Yeah.
two important points
Gold or
there at the
bust.
same time.
Gold or
Number
bust,
one,
yeah.
number one, it's a short tournament, single elimination once you get through the round robin.
Right.
You know, one bad game, one bad bounce, one bad goal. Think back to years past about when it
With
was the
Fleury.
goalie that Fleury scored on himself.
Oh, yeah.
And then you turn it around the other way and you look at a performance like a Jonathan Taves,
Oh.
who scored.
What did he have?
5
3 or
goals?
4
We were
in the
just talking about that
shootout?
before
Yeah.
we
In
went
Ottawa.
on.
In the Magic shootout against with
The Americans, wasn't
yeah,
it?
it was with Carey Price in net for Canada, who
Yeah.
couldn't stop a beach ball. And
Right.
frankly, who turned out all right for you know what I mean for
Not a bad
Montreal.
career.
But he was okay.
But then you think about the ones that shine that it doesn't necessarily work out. I'm going back a bit, but like the Steve Rices and John
Kent-
Slaney's,
Kent
and,
Manderville.
Kent Manderville,
Right.
and Justin Pogge, and I mean the list goes on.
Yes.
So it goes the other way too,
Yeah.
which is really wild. I mean Pogge was one of the main reasons
Yeah.
they won that tournament.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he just didn't. Trevor Kidd, there's
Angelo
another one.
Esposito.
Trevor Kidd.
Yep, Angelo
Craig
Esposito,
Billington.
100%.
No.
And the list goes on,
Yeah.
right?
Now, wasn't Jonathan the same one that had the overtime goal in Ottawa the next year? Was it not
Taves?
Taves?
I don't think he played there that year, did he?
Who was it that had that big goal in Ottawa?
Oh, that's
I'm
going
going to have
back.
to look back because that was the
That's
year
Chester,
after.
no. Chester, if you're
It was
listening,
Eberle,
right in.
wasn't
Chester,
it?
yep, Chester.
Get on it, Chess.
Huh?
Wasn't it Jordan Eberle?
Yes.
Jordan
that's
Eberle.
it.
That's
Jordan
exactly
Scoring
right.
Eberle.
overtime, or
He
was
did
it
that.
late in the third?
Well,
Late in the
Tavares
third, late in the
scored late in the game
Yeah.
to send it to overtime, and then I think it was Eberle that
Oh,
scored
the turnover at the blue line.
Yes.
Tavares passed it to Eberle.
in the
and
last
But-
minute.
The
But
famous
it's-
"Can you believe it?" call by
Right.
Gordon Miller. Yeah.
It's such a great tournament.
Oh yeah.
I haven't seen which pool the states are in, because if they're in Canada's pool, I'd love to see that New Year's Eve Canada-U.S.
Yeah.
I've seen that in
matchup
a couple
again.
years.
Yeah.
So.
It's funny looking back, like in the '70s, like when Gretzky was playing in Montreal, and there wasn't flies at the Forum, right?
No.
And then all of a sudden, TSN got a hold of it,
And now they want $5,000 for the tournament for tickets.
Yeah.
You know, I
Unreal.
remember one of my favorite times of my adult life was going to Buffalo
yeah,
in 2008 ish,
Yeah,
somewhere around there. Can't believe it's 15 years ago already. At that time, the money was even, so we were exchanging at par.
Right.
And you know, on top of everything, there was this great big tent set up outside of the rink, and it was Canada South there. The place was
Right.
packed. It was loud. It was crazy, and 90% of the people were wearing Canadian jerseys or red and white of some kind.
Right.
And I remember we came back with hundreds and hundreds of dollars of U.S. money because they were taking the Canadian and giving you American back for change. We got to the point where we would just bring a pocket full of American or Canadian $100 bills.
Right.
Yeah.
Buy a beer, hand them and they'll start giving you Canadian money
Right.
back. I don't want that crap, man.
Right.
Give me some American back. I
Yeah,
remember
yeah.
at the end of the tournament, I get
And
$1,000
literally
American.
lying at the border coming back. You got any cash with you?
nope.
No.
Nope.
Yeah.
No, not today.
Nope, can't help you. But if you've never been to a World Junior Tournament, it is a life-altering experience. I'm
Yeah.
fortunate enough to have been to 3 of them, and I was there in Buffalo when they blew the lead against Russia.
Oh my God.
I remember watching it later on and
the gold medal
and the
game.
look on my face as I'm on TV walking out 20 seconds before the end of the game. Boy, I looked angry. And but then we figured we were owed, and we were there to see McDavid when he was playing.
right.
And I'd love to talk about McDavid when he was playing at the World Juniors. He was 16 or 17 at
Toronto.
the time, and
Yeah.
he was just unbelievable.
Well, like
so-
I mentioned last week with Ian, it was the tournament, the junior tournament, and then about 8 levels more, and it was McDavid
Yep.
at a young age.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't even close.
So
So good.
You look excited there last
the
week.
Americans in Canada are in the same pool. They're in Group
Nice.
A.
So
Playing
surely
out of
we'll
the
get a
Canadian
New
Tire
Year's Eve
Center.
game.
So they got one group out of the Canadian Tire Center, and the other one's playing at TD Place Arena. So, yeah,
Wow.
United States, Finland, Canada, Latvia, and Germany. So, top 3 advanced.
We always have problems with Latvia, don't we? We do.
But they keep sending Arturs Urban.
Archer Zerbe. He lies about his birth certificate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honest, I'm 18.
Yeah.
Oh, love it.
All right. Well, good points to bring up there, Les.
Yeah.
Obviously, all of us, probably the majority of people listening as well, are huge fans of the Double AHF there at Christmas. I will be missing it. So it's going to be a little frustrating, but
And we also have another Team Canada being announced this week for the
Yeah.
Four Nations Cup.
Yeah.
Yep.
on Wednesday.
Yeah, it's the
There'll be
Canadians
more-
and American teams.
Yeah, there'll be more talk
Wednesday.
about who. Well,
When?
it's all four.
Well, they do
they're
it
in the
later,
afternoon.
though.
They're in the afternoon.
Well, they
the
do.
Swedes and the
Well, they're
Swiss.
doing the Canadians and Americans, I think, in the afternoon.
at
and
6:30
and
prime
then-
time.
Is it prime time? But
Yeah.
then with the
The Swiss and Finland are in the afternoon at 2 p.m.
Swedes.
Okay,
Swedes.
sorry, that's right. Yeah, they're doing them
Yeah, I was
first,
gonna
and
say,
then they're
how did
doing
a Swiss get in this tournament. No
Yeah.
offense, guys, but
the Canadians and Americans. They're doing in prime time. Yeah,
So there'll be more talk. We'll have more talk next week of who's not there.
right.
But really the only one standing out to me is lack of a real dominant goaltender.
Yes.
Yes.
And I think we've talked about this before, but I mean, it's just, you can go back as far as you want to go back, and it doesn't matter what we sent to what event, we always had a dominant goaltender.
Right.
But I mean,
So do you think we're gonna have to take the best defensive defenseman to
well,
help
you know,
out in that
is
end?
there a modern
to
day
stop
Brad
the-
Marsh out there that's gonna, that we're
Craig
but
Ludwig,
Errol
the
Thompson.
block
You know?
shots.
Where's Larry Robinson when you need him?
We'll just get
Yeah,
the shin
it's-
pads that are flared.
Army
out
will
like
be
Ludwig's.
on his guard. He'll be talking with his board, and they'll figure it out.
I thought
They'll
you were
figure
going to
it out.
say we'll be on the podcast. I was
No.
wondering if
No, not this one.
we'll have to talk to Tim. And
Actually, he was on Spit and Chicklets, I believe, or was it? No, it was the fan
was
when
Fan, yeah.
Mr. Montgomery got picked up by the St. Louis Blues.
right.
Want to get into that a little bit?
Like so fast,
Yeah.
somebody's.
Well,
I
they're-
think there was a hamstring pulled. He jumped in there. St. Louis jumped in so fast, and I don't know. Rumor had it that Tim Taylor pulled a hamstring.
teams were talking about tampering
Oh,
to
really?
get that together so fast.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, see, he used to be an assistant coach with them
Yes.
before he went to Dallas.
and everybody
So
knew
they had
coming
a
in.
connection. Yeah.
Everybody knew coming in because of the playoffs last year that if Boston didn't get off, he was probably going. So
Well, he gave a great interview on the Fan 590 that afternoon after it happened, and lots of great stuff said. He goes, you don't go into the season looking for, a coach to replace a brand new coach, and he gave all kudos, and I can't remember the head coach's name of
Drew
St. Louis.
Bannister.
Thank you. And they said, he did a good job, but Montgomery was on their list, and there was two other ones that he didn't name that they would pull the trigger for, and Montgomery was one of them. And it's not they didn't make the move to prove that they're going to be able to crack the playoffs, make a run. St. Louis is in kind of a mid-tier rebuild, and they have 5 first-round draft picks making the team next year in St. Louis. They believe
Wow.
Montgomery is the guy that's going to be able to bring them along, to help them progress. Plus, you got your staples like your Rob Thomases, your Neighbors, your Buznevich, the other ones that are there to help them. So he was feeling really good about things, and they signed him already to a multi-year deal. And by the time that even comes to fruition, where he's done, Alex Steen will be in his position taking
Right.
over for Army. So. That's just kind of the way it goes, I guess. I don't have any judgment. The ironic part was, Chester, my apologies, the Boston Bruins have fired Montgomery, Cassidy, and Julian, and they've all been hired within 8 days later of being fired.
Yeah.
All Jack Adams winners.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we I put that post there on the social media that is there maybe something wrong further up.
Absolutely. Right? Like, it's not 1, okay, 2, 3?
Three's a pattern.
Like,
Three
they're- and-
three requires an intervention. Maybe.
5 would be like
right? But
5
they're
would be
on-
like a serial killer, right?
But I mean,
But they're only able, like, Montgomery's only able to do what he's been given, right? Like,
Well, and did you see his
he-
record? It was like 142, 40, and 18 or something like that.
right?
That's
And
stupid.
like, he wasn't the one that traded DeBrusque. Now, maybe he went to management and said, "Let's get rid of this guy," but I'm sure they would maybe rethink that the way he's playing in Vancouver. But
I think there's
Joe Sacco took over for Montgomery in Boston.
yeah,
well,
I
he's a
didn't-
smart guy. He was a good player in his day, and
Played for the Leafs.
played for several teams.
Yeah.
Colorado.
Had the suitcase. Yeah.
Anyways, I don't know. It strikes me that I think there's royalty above the coaching level in Boston. So I don't know. Neely's there, and he's, not going anywhere.
He's not. I was just gonna
He's
say
the
not
Brendan
going anywhere.
Shanahan of Boston.
Well,
Everything.
I understand your reference, your analogy is fair. The difference being is that Shanahan is not hallowed in Toronto.
Right.
He's respected.
Yeah.
Sure.
And use whatever
Yeah.
term you want there, but
Neely's
he ain't
like
Cam
God
Neely.
status.
I mean, if you want to
He's
make
an
an
icon.
analogy, it's like the Leafs hiring Doug Gilmour to be their GM.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Fair.
That's the thing, is that I don't know to what level Boston ownership is ready to go with Neely before they try somebody else.
The thing is that they've had success though. Like with him changing those coaches, they still kept winning. That was the surprising thing. So
Right.
they
But
look
those
bad.
were the horses, in fairness. I mean,
Right.
Bergeron's gone, Chara's gone.
Chara's
Yeah.
gone.
Pasternak is clearly not the player he was. Marchand is not the player he was.
Right.
Is it really the coach's fault that they're not scoring goals? I mean,
Exactly. And
So
he
what's
wasn't the
the
one
other
that
side of the story?
He didn't hold the goalie out. He didn't, make Swayman feel terrible last year in arbitration. And so he's like, no, I'm not going to arbitration. I'm
Well,
just going to sit out.
I don't really think it ends well anywhere. I mean, just the sheer example of Keefe in Toronto, his regular season record is crazy. How
Yeah.
good it was. He was the quickest coach to 220 wins or something.
Yeah.
And they just felt, and look at all the players they have that are playing at the top of their game. Yes, there was a few challenges throughout the lineup, but for the most part, you got the foundation, you've got the blueprint, and Keefe just couldn't pull it out of them in the second season. So I'm not defending Cam Neely, but it's business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think St. Louis is going to be really happy with Montgomery.
Absolutely.
Especially with all the information that Army was talking about, like the fact that they got 5 brand new players ready for the NHL next year, and that's who they want bringing these guys along.
Sure.
So huge
which
compliment.
is impressive. This with the Stanley Cup that close to the rearview mirror.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Usually these are longer processes,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what the thing is. That's the thing that's intriguing to me with the Boston situation, is that they never really had the hangover. They never had the rebuild.
No.
They just they stuck with their stars.
Yep.
But now those stars that brought them all that glory are gone, and so where do they go next?
But they're
So
having an
is-
off season apparently. But the thing about it is like with as well as Toronto is doing, they're only like 3 or 4 points behind Toronto. So is it the division? Is it the teams? Is it Boston? I mean, I don't think they were in that bad of a spot, like to warrant a coaching change. But
Well,
who knows?
I think there was, I heard there was a report out there that there was a disconnect between the team leaders and the coach.
Yeah, and the Swayman situation
Yeah.
didn't help.
So usually, I guess, if the coach loses the room,
well, it was wasn't not who called out Pasternak in the playoffs last year.
well, he's called out Pasternak. He called out Pasternak. Him and Marchand had it out this year. So
Arguing over the hair weave, are they?
yeah,
So I see Winnipeg has landed for a break.
yeah,
Yeah, they've kind of come back
been
to
sinking
reality.
like a stone.
come back to
Well, I mean, you can't.
They weren't going to
stay-
go 82-0.
You
Yeah.
can't stay
No.
that hot that long, frankly. It was an NHL record start, and so there's definitely going to be a hangover there. And
Well, like I mentioned a few weeks ago when they were doing so well, I said it's not when, it's not if, it's when it happens, and it's how they react,
Exactly, yep.
how they're going to carry on through the season. Because now, they're calling up players and this and that. It's like it's 25 games. That's where we are.
yeah, we're still at the quarter pole, and it's not even Christmas yet. Like we keep talking about in Junior B, it's no reason to get
Yeah.
excited about anything,
Right.
at least till Christmas.
Yeah. Did anybody see who the first start of the week was this year this week in the NHL?
Yeah, from Carolina.
Uh,
Or no, that was for the month.
for the
Martin
yeah.
Nikas.
Yes.
Yeah.
For the week, it was Maxim Celebrity.
Was that who?
So him and Will Smith, they call him his sidekick in San Jose. They are clicking, and I hate to say it, but San Jose is going to look good in a few years
Why do you hate
Yeah.
to say that?
Why do you hate to say that?
because I'm not a San Jose fan. but they're gonna look good. These two together are, you know, they're not the same as McDavid and Draisaitl, but it's, you know,
Oh, that's
the same.
I was out there in 2016 for a guy's football, hockey getaway, and I reconnected with John Gustafson, who works for the Sharks. I haven't seen him since '86 when.
Didn't you see him at Maple Leaf Gardens there?
Well, I did. Good memory, right? I forgot
just,
about that.
Just the truth would be nice, right?
Absolutely, yeah. I
Keep
meet
it
on a
real,
regular,
Razor.
but
He's got the lie detector on now.
exactly. I did see him for about a half an hour that night,
I'm just
but
teasing.
when we were out in San Jose, I'll tell you, now they were winning back then. That was when Thornton and all the guys were rolling, and they were making the playoffs.
The days of the Cow
continuously.
Palace.
Right. Well, no, it was after that. They were in their current building, but it was a tough ticket to get. And so the guy that we were staying with, him and his wife were seasons ticket holders, and it was like sold out every night. But that's what winning will do.
Yep.
That's why Tampa was able to, have success will bring the fans. But, the Arizonas and the Floridas up until recently, a bomb could go off in those rinks and no one would know. But now that you've got success at, a lot of these southern states, Carolina, those would all be ghost towns if they weren't winning. So it's just one of those things.
And I think I love what Carolina's done with all of the stuff they've done.
Oh,
They've got
yeah.
a competitive team. They're year over year competitive. Their fan base is growing
Yeah.
year over year. It's an exciting place.
And they keep on
would love to-
cultivating, right?
Oh man, yeah, and it's they keep coming up with guys that you've never heard of.
It starts with Brenda Moore.
If you
Yeah,
listeners,
Former
if you,
Flyers.
if you knew at this part of the season that Martin Nikas would be second overall in league scoring, a 12th overall pick in the 2017 draft, he's got 12 goals, 25 assists at 37 points,
yeah.
right behind Kaprizov. Who knew?
Yeah.
I didn't have any money on him.
Razor should have taken him in the pool.
Yeah,
I should have.
But,
Jeff informed me Saturday night that I'm dead last in the pool.
well,
so.
I just said something's got to.
Somebody's gotta
change
be
for
the
you.
anchor.
There had to have been a mistake, right? Like
Well, and don't think for 1 minute I don't appreciate you taking my spot at the bottom, because I spent enough damn time at the bottom of the pool, and,
Right.
I got my daily email about this is how far away you are from the leaders.
Yeah,
here's a pair of binoculars.
I
by
kept
the way.
getting further and further behind first place, so I stopped looking.
How
at
does
it,
that
to
old
be
saying go?
honest.
The faster I go, the behinder I get.
Gets to a
There
point
it
where
is.
it gets to a point you're just too far behind. You just can't make up that.
That's right.
Just-
I'm
but-
looking to make a trade with
I'm-
first place, but then
I'm still ahead of Razor.
I realized that we don't have that in this league. So unfortunately, I've got to figure out.
So
a
maybe the
different
prize for
way,
last place is you get to stay.
right?
There you go.
Can't do any worse. But yeah, you talk about is it Nika or Neka? And what a great month he
Is
had.
that a
in
soccer
November.
player?
Yeah. You got
Who are you talking about? Sorry.
From Carolina.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Oh, Nikas.
Yes,
Nikas.
that's-
Yeah, sorry.
And you got Rantanen. He was the second player of November, and then third was Hellbuck. He had 8 wins, a .931 save percentage, 2 shutouts.
Speaking about Mikko Rantanen, he is a free agent. And he will
Unrestricted?
He will not be back in Colorado.
Is he restricted or
Unrestricted.
Wow.
He is saying he is worth more than Nathan McKinnon.
Oh, God bless.
Well, there is
I think
lot of high
Matthews
altitude
or
there.
Marner
and
thinks he's worth more than Matthews at this point too.
But
So-
I don't think he'll be back in Colorado.
that high
It's-
altitude kind of reduces the oxygen to the brain, and
Do you
It's-
want to win or do you want to get paid? It's the
That's
old
exactly what it
question.
is.
here
You
we
don't
are
wanna-
going around that circle again.
Do you want to play with McKinnon or do you want to get paid? It's up to you.
Or do you wanna-
Because you're not going to be going to a team
You'll
who's
make 11
competing
million a year
for
in Utah
14
for sure.
100%. They're not, and you're going to be a part of the puzzle, but you're not going to be. You'd probably be golfing in May. Maybe he wants that. I don't know.
What was that number? Was he asking 14 million a
I didn't
season or
hear.
something like that?
Yeah. Well,
That's-
God bless. I hope he gets it.
That's McDavid money.
Yeah.
It is.
Like, and that's where it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Marner, because if he wants 14 million, they're going to go, seriously, like, you want us to pay more than our captain. That'll be interesting how that all plays out. 'Cause
So-
what's he making now? 11?
10-8.
10.
Marner?
Yeah.
Yeah, 10-8. Just a little local flavor update. Jake Middleton's having himself a little season so far. He's averaging a career high in ice time of 20:50 a night.
Nice.
Congratulations.
And another little thing, him and his wife just had a baby.
Oh,
Yes.
nice.
Yeah, actually, Dan Myers from Joe's
There you
Diner and his fiance just flew out to Minnesota for the weekend. Went to the game on Saturday and went to the Vikings game on Sunday, but spent the weekend with the Middletons.
Amazing.
Yeah, so they had a
And
great
there's
weekend.
the
That's
answer
great.
to an earlier question. A defensive defenseman to play with Team Canada because of the lack of goaltending. Boom. Jake
Right.
Middleton, Stratford product.
And just on the other note, worth mentioning, Jared McCann out in Seattle. He's having himself a season so far too. 23 points in 25 games, including 10 goals. He's on every team. He's on the first power play. He's on the penalty kill. He's really a big deal for that team. Really
Sure
nice
is.
opportunity for him.
The opportunity to play with guys like Malkin and Crosby could have done nothing but help his career.
For
and now
sure.
he's applying that out in Seattle, and good for him.
And there's some good talent out there with him.
Yeah, they're not completely devoid of talent, that's for sure.
No.
Quinn Hughes set a record last night for the Vancouver Canucks. Quickest to he leads the Canucks now in assists. So
Good
he
to
had
know.
the assists last night. So
I
another
bet you
Hughes boy,
didn't know that
300
before
I
you
did
came
not
here.
know that.
311 assists.
Good stuff.
And that was DeBrusk's hat trick night.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jake DeBrusk he's having a fun time out there. I
Oh,
think.
yeah. Wow. Like, it started last year. He was being ripped through the media and was being benched. And I don't know if he was ever healthy, but he was not cutting it with Montgomery. And then when they ended up trading him, all he's done was flourish out there. Right?
But those things happen in sports and all kinds
Absolutely.
of sports, don't
Did we mention last week about Ovechkin?
Yeah, we
Breaking his
talked.
leg.
Yeah, he was on skates. They said. the
Yeah,
other day.
yeah, he was
He
out
was out.
skating. Yeah, so, but it's what was interesting is I was reading how with the additions of Pierre-Luc Dubois, Jacob Chychrun, Andrew Mangiapane, Taylor Radish, Brandon Duhaime, and Jacob Verana, Matt Roy. Those guys have collectively accounted for 26 goals, 41 assists, almost 30% of Washington's total production this year. Like, who saw that coming? Like, everyone thought that they were going to be rebuilding. That's why I didn't think there was a hope in hell of Ovechkin catching Gretzky's record this year because he had no one around him. But then Strome, all of a sudden, they started meshing. But what a turnaround with Washington. Like, kudos to the GM. That's just unbelievable.
I have loved
Matt Roy
watching.
just turned his career around.
I've loved watching Dylan Strome play since
Yep.
junior.
Yep. Yeah.
And
exactly.
Radish,
Second overall
come to
pick.
think of it.
Oh, and speaking about Washington, you guys saw last week that goalie, Lindgren, put that one
Put in
right
his
in the
own
middle
net.
of his net.
That,
But then,
But then he came
nice
back
set of
and
hands.
won.
stood on his melon
And then
for the
stood
rest
on
of
his
the game.
head.
Right.
And didn't let another one in. He's apparently the only one who was allowed to score goals from that point on.
And you know what? I love that about that goalie because obviously he's humiliated. Everything's all on TV, on social media. But for him to mentally just block that out and fuel that for him to turn the game around, like, that is the sort of goalie that every GM wants and needs on their team.
You got a similar story, Razor, about
Putting it
scoring
in the net?
Yeah.
I couldn't shoot. I had to turn it around. I would
Well,
catch
you could
left.
certainly put it in your own net.
Well, I
was
could have.
wondering.
Never did it,
Never
though.
happened.
Something fun like
Never
that.
happened.
We
but
we also had the Habs and Bruins play their 100th game against each other.
yes. Yeah.
It was that got a little nasty near the end too.
It was branded the 100th anniversary of the Bruins.
Yeah.
Over anything. But
Yeah.
I mean,
100th
yeah.
anniversary.
If you look on our social media, Razor posted the drone footage of the opening, which is
unbelievable.
all the
That was
all the
cool.
all the
That was
old guys
very
looking
cool.
at Willie O'Ree and Bobby Orr.
Bobby Orr, yeah.
They had all the guys in it.
Like, that is such a cool rink. Like, I've got to go there. I've heard Carsey and a bunch of Chester and all of those guys loving it. That is a cool rink. Like, it just looks like it'd be a fun place to be. But Yeah, all the guys that were there: Johnny Busick, Bork, Willie O'Ree, or just
John Rattel,
Rick Middleton.
Phil Esposito,
yeah.
Jerry Cheevers.
Just to quickly
Yeah.
circle back to the Minnesota Wild, don't look now, but they are tied for first place in the NHL.
Well, no flash in the pan. They're still doing it. And this
Kaprizov.
this Kaprizov kid is just, you know,
my
and,
God.
and I got to be honest with you, he was completely off my
Unreal.
radar. And then I looked back at previous years and I went, oh, well, he's had a 40-goal season.
Yeah.
It's just Minnesota,
He
right?
came out
Holly,
last year and just lit
I
it
couldn't
up.
agree with you more.
You know what I mean?
was
Just
like,
some
I
guys
was looking
just
at the
stay
hockey
off your
pool going,
radar and you just-
Kaprizov, Minnesota. Like, who cares?
Well, yeah, because I was looking the one like last year, I think it was, and somebody said, "Oh, Kirill Kaprizov, he's on fire," and I'm going, "Who's the heck's Kirill Kaprizov?"
Yeah. So congrats to them. Hopefully
Crazy.
they can keep it going. And Winnipeg and them are tied for 36. Minnesota has a game in hand, and the rebuilding Washington Capitals in third place of the NHL.
Crazy.
That's solid defending from a good Stratford
yeah.
player right there. That's
Yeah.
why they're doing well.
Sheldon Keefe's New Jersey Devils take fourth, and to top out the top five is Carolina. All tight. It's interesting about the Atlantic this year. They're I don't want to say they're soft because that's not the word, but Florida's first place and they're eighth.
Yep.
In the Atlantic, and then Toronto's in 10th. But I don't know. I'm not loving the Atlantic this year.
Like Toronto's got a few games in hand. They've only played 23 games. You've got the Devils that have played 27.
Yeah, they had the
Jets have
games
played
over
25.
in Czechia earlier.
But
So
yeah,
Right.
you're right. Like they're, other than Toronto and Florida, it drops off there.
I'll pull a Brian
Sure.
Hawley question. Who is the Atlantic Division?
yeah,
Meh.
It's those two teams, right? You
They're
got
Florida
the defending
and
Stanley Cup
Carolina.
champs and a team that thinks they're going to win it
yeah.
every
If
year.
if you look at Toronto though, they almost play every other night now till the Four Nations.
Is it
tournament,
that
right?
Well,
much?
not every other night.
Well, it's close. It's close. They have a lot of
Okay.
games, but then they get 3 weeks off. So because they have their bye week at the back end of that.
Are you laying down some foundation for playing every other? Okay, good.
No, but hey, I'm okay with the week we had. So
To talk about Toronto a little bit, gosh, they're playing great. Their goalies are playing great hockey. They're getting the support they need.
Well, hold on here. You're talking positively about our Leafs.
Hold my beer. We're going somewhere with
something
this.
will go. It'll
All
go
right,
downwards.
all
And
right.
So
Our old rule is everything before the word "but" doesn't
Yeah.
matter.
but I don't use but. I use however.
However,
Having said that,
There's a pretty significant drop off beyond the top five players. And I'm wondering because, as we know, and I say this with the utmost respect, Toronto's regular season is not the issue. They always perform well. They're always at the top of the Atlantic, if not the NHL. I mean, they're impressive. It was Keefe Hockey. You're seeing the different traits of the Berube brand, which is bringing things back a little bit, but it's working well. Stolarz is tops in the NHL. I mean, you just can't argue stuff like that. But when I notice the bottom six, I'm talking about guys like Lorentz, Robertson, Mitten, Dwyer, Nylander. Those bottom six account for 22 points.
But there's still some of the bottom six that are hurt.
Right. So I'm referring to the players that I just mentioned. So that accounts for 22 points. I'm just giving some perspective here. The bottom six in Florida accounts for 50 points.
But your bottom six in Florida aren't AHL players.
Fair enough.
it's fair.
Bottom
Yeah.
six in Boston, 42 points. Bottom six in Montreal, 48 points. So is it the health that is what you're saying?
It's the health of the bottom six.
So who are you
All those-
missing the most, would you say?
You're
I'd say McMahon.
Yeah.
He's a big loss right now.
That's
So-
a deep one.
Domi, I don't even think has scored.
Domi
yet this
has
year.
6 assists in 20 games.
Yeah, he's
They-
but he's been playing hurt all year. They were saying,
Yeah.
and now he's on the IR. So
And I'll just say one more, and it's perspective.
For sure.
Because what happens is in the playoffs, when your guns aren't smoking, there's that depth that you're looking at. But what I will say is this. Where was I going with that? Oh, on 590, they are ripping Nick Robertson for the shortcomings. He's a $775,000 a year player at 23 years old. He's got 2 goals in 20 games. No question he's struggling. If it's not working, then just let him go. Like, the kid's confidence is being crushed in the mecca that is Toronto. And I've just never seen so much attention to a 23-year-old kid making, league minimum. It doesn't make sense to me.
Did he, correct me if I'm wrong, but did he not go through a major slump last year? He went something like
He's
20
an inconsistent player.
He went something
Yeah.
like 20 games without a goal, and I
Yeah.
think I was watching the night he snapped out of it. He scored 2 in that game, and he ended up scoring fairly regularly the rest of the way. And I think that's, if a guy like me who is not exactly putting Toronto under a microscope knows that Nick Robinson is a streaky player, if he wasn't a streaky player, he wouldn't be making $775. He'd be
Which I would
making
think
more
is
money.
what the league minimum.
Pretty close, yeah. I don't know what it is per se, but at the end of the day, your point's well made, Jeff, and the fact that their depth of scoring. But when I look at Toronto, the thing that gets concerning for me, I think, is Stolarz and how good he looks, but is that sustainable? And that's the big
100%.
question in
But
my
Wool,
camp.
Wool has a 923 save percentage. Like, they've got the 2 best goalies in
Well,
the league.
I mean, with Wool, he's always put up good numbers. He just can't stay healthy.
Right.
So he's supposed to be the number 1 guy. So if it all works out, I like where Toronto's goaltending is if Wool is healthy,
If it
because
works out.
Stolarz
Yeah.
is a guy who
Because
is.
who's the next one? Hellenby?
Yes.
Yeah,
But
so
that's the plan,
go.
right? It's Stolarz and Wool,
Yeah.
and Wool is supposed to be the number 1 guy, and Stolarz will be there to be a very dependable backup.
Yep.
But again, I don't ever look real hard at the numbers in the regular season with Toronto, because it's the same question year after year. It's Groundhog Day in Toronto.
Right.
Will the Big Four perform when they need to, when the red light comes on?
Well, you've
and
got-
it's a question that barely even needs to be asked anymore. It's been asked so often.
Yes. You've got Wool's contract kicking in next year in the same breath as Tavares' contract is stopping. So it's going to be interesting. Like, they're talking about, like Les had said there last week, with the cap going up. But I like, both Toronto goalies. You've got Stolarz on a cap-friendly contract. And now what they've got to do, like, I was reading something the other day where they said that Berube is a lot like Scotty Bowman, where he likes to have his lines in 2s. So he'll keep 2 of the 3 players together and then cycle the 3rd guy through. And he's got Tavares and Marner playing together. He's got Matthews and Nyes playing together.
With Nylander.
yeah, Nylander's
Well,
back.
but they're talking about having Nylander on a 3rd line. Like, could you imagine? Like, if they throw Nylander on a 3rd line, now they're talking about the need for a center now that Pacioretty, isn't going to be back anytime soon. So they may make a trade for a center. But, like, that's 3 good lines, and then you just cycle the Domies, the McMahons, the Robertsons through these other lines. I like it.
The
And they're-
potential is there for Toronto to make a run this year. 100%.
It's now. Like, it is
But
now.
again, I reiterate, we've been saying the same thing for years.
100.
9 years
9.
with this group.
But who's counting? Hey, Les?
I'm not counting because he cheers for Montreal and they're not making the playoffs. So
Well, speaking of 9, you've got Marner, the 4th player in Leaf franchise history with 30 points in his first 9 seasons. So he's now in company with Dave Keon, Boreas Salming, Matt Sundin, and now Marner. Only 4 Leafs to have 30 points in their first 9 seasons. Pretty impressive company.
Great player.
Yeah, he really is.
Yeah.
He really is. He's
Great
just gotta. He's always going to be branded until he brings it in April.
Right now he's the David Price of the playoffs.
Right.
Dominant
Yep.
in the regular season and a no-show. And it sounds harsh, but that's just the numbers don't lie.
Like, if you look at his actual numbers though in the playoffs, they're not bad. It's just that
It's the eye test.
Well, it's the
me.
timing of it, right? Like they'll win 5-1 and he'll have 4 points that night, but then in a 7-game series, he's invisible, right, for the other 6.
Well, and that's my thing is that, with him, it's a case where you just don't, like, he could go through the whole game and you go, oh, did he play?
Right.
And you look at the score sheet, you go, oh, he got 2 points. I didn't even know he was.
And with
you
it
know what I
being
mean? He doesn't-
tougher, he's already a perimeter guy. Like he doesn't
Yeah,
crash the
exactly.
net. And in the playoffs where that becomes amplified and guys are playing for keeps, he's just even that less effective, right? When he doesn't want to go into the high traffic areas.
I mean, his game in the playoffs, you can see, and you've seen it. I'm sure it's on the whiteboard in the opposing team's dressing room. Keep him to the outside,
Right.
and that's what you do. He's a smaller player. He's dynamic. He's quick. He's agile. He's very good at what he does. But when you're crashing and banging in the playoffs, you get rubbed out, and it's a whole different factor that you have to deal with, because in game 48 you're skating by that and maybe checking and so on, but in the playoffs you're taking them out.
Well, that was what was so refreshing. We had talked about it there a couple of weeks ago when Edmonton was in Toronto, and as soon as they dropped the puck, it was like a playoff intense game. And you just don't usually see that in the regular season, right? Guys know it's a grind, 82 games. Like you've got to, and then they had to hop on a plane and probably go to Montreal or somewhere after Toronto. You can't be going, balls out like you do in the playoffs. So that was refreshing to actually see that.
Yeah.
So let me ask a question of the group then. Marner, is he a victim of his division? Here's what I mean by that. When Toronto goes into the playoffs, they play a Boston. They play a Florida. The only season that they've
Tampa.
won, the only season that they've won a series was against a Tampa team that didn't have the grit and the sandpaper that a Boston and a Florida have. If Marner was playing on a Western Conference team, do we think he would have more success in the playoffs? Because it's not so different night and day. But let's face it, like the Bostons and the Floridas of the world are two of the grittiest teams in the league.
There's a lot of pressure too. Like if he was playing in Carolina, San Jose, Dallas, right? You got, one TV guy, one radio guy. Like I saw it firsthand when I was in LA back in the 90s, right? You had Philadelphia in town. They had one print, one radio, one TV. And that was with Lindros was in the league for Philadelphia.
But do you really think there's any more pressure mid-game, depending on the logo on the front of your
see, I
jersey?
don't.
I think because you're in such a hockey mecca, like there's just so much pressure because no matter where you go, somebody wants to talk to you about it.
But I'm talking
yeah.
I'm talking about actual gameplay. I hear what you're saying, and I don't disagree with you. But what I'm saying is that the style of game that Marner plays,
Right.
if he played for a Colorado, where they're more run and gun
Would
wheeling,
it complement them more?
would he complement that team better than a team that's playing in a division with teams
The heavy
Gotcha.
hitters.
that play such a heavy brand?
Yeah,
of the game?
right.
That's my question.
You're right. It's the difference in style from the east to the west, right? But
Yeah, I see
but the
what
thing
you're
about it
saying.
is too, Razor, with what you're saying there is, if he feels the pressure, I think he should, because he demanded and held the Leafs over a barrel to sign his last contract at 10.8 and
Yep.
wouldn't take any less. His father got involved. It got actually quite ugly. When you sign up for that and you're the top 7% paid in the NHL, you got to bring it.
Right.
And you got to be prepared to get ridiculed. You got, to get, the high fives and the praise that comes
Yep.
along with that. He's a top player in the NHL. But I'm going to tell you something. You want to be top 7% paid in the NHL, it's a different brand of hockey you got to bring.
Like right
Just-
now,
just my opinion.
Right now, he's the 12th highest paid guy in the league, which is, I think that's where he
Top
should
7%.
be. I think he should be, like he is in the top 12.
What warrants?
Is-
What? Okay, so here's a whole other question, and this is for the panel. What warrants being a top paid professional in the NHL? Points.
Is
Points in
Team-
the
that,
regular,
that
team guy?
that's the
regular
like,
season production.
Yeah.
Like when you're
Regular
when you're
season
talking
productions.
when you're talking forwards, it's the biggest thing is
Yep.
points, obviously.
Okay.
I just think that there's other intangibles.
So Bergeron isn't a top leading point guy, but he could have been one of the highest paid because of his role. So that would be my argument against that.
Well, there's fluctuation.
Yeah.
A Kachuk, for example, you think more like when we look at point a game players, and if we look at them, just forget about whether they get 90 or 75 or whatever, we call them point a game players, and that's a pretty big group.
Yeah.
So anybody between 95 and 65 is basically a point a game guy.
Right.
But the difference is what else do you bring to the table? But at the end of the day, when you go to an arbitration hearing, like nobody says, oh, well, but Kachuk can beat up your enforcer. I don't think that's worth any money in arbitration. It's like, this guy got 72 points and he's making this much. This guy got 75 points and he's making this much.
Right.
My guy got 73 points. He should be right between those two guys.
Right.
I don't think the argument goes any further than that.
Yeah.
That's definitely management's perspective. They're bringing out all the negatives, and that's what Swayman did not want to go into again this year, where you've
Well,
got your
Vladdy
GM.
went through it with the Jays just last year.
Right.
100%.
And so that's what a lot of guys are like. I don't want to hear, the negatives that my GM thinks about me, right? I'd rather hold out. But I do not. I think Mitch Marner is a really good player. I think he's necessary if Toronto is going to have success. But do I think he should be paid like $14 million more than Austin Matthews? Not a chance. Should he be paid Connor McDavid money? Not a chance. Like, it's going to be interesting.
And I think if they do go to arbitration, like you're talking about, Holly, I think you brought up some great points there. It's like, if you want $14 million, you're going to have to compare yourself to Austin Matthews, Draisaitl, and McDavid, all MVPs of the league, all leaders, all these valuable recognitions that they've had. Mitch Marner, listen, he's fantastic, and that's just the reality of it.
Yeah.
You're not that caliber. You're not.
You're not that guy.
You're not. Yeah.
You're not.
Yeah, trust me. That
Trust
clip.
me, you're not that guy.
All right, we should take a little break.
Yeah.
Just for everybody out there, Stolars is the starting goaltender tonight, and it's on Prime. So,
Unreal.
yeah.
Unreal.
I'll see you after the break, apparently. This conversation's done.
All right.
All right, let's get
we
into
start
some
with the
of
first
our
two?
wonderful partners. We'll
Yes.
start off with Patrick and his great team at Domino's Pizza, the official pizza of the Armchair Chirpers. Ladies and gentlemen, you can get a free large 3-item pizza. If you go onto our YouTube page and subscribe, you can take a screenshot. Come on in to the Urban Barber or Reboot Repair at 155 Erie Street. We will have a shiny coupon for you. These great people do have 2 locations, one on Ontario Street at 406 and 536 Huron Street, Stratford.
Joe's Diner, the official breakfast and lunch diner of the Armchair Chirpers, home of the world-famous No. 4 Perth County breakfast. Locally owned and operated by the Myers family, located in Stratford and St. Mary's.
Great people. We'll do one more before we cut. We will do Janet Lange, local broker, real estate agent for Home & Company office in Stratford and surrounding area. She has 20 years of experience and has coined the phrase, putting the real in real estate. She would look forward to have any type of consultation or conversation with you for any real estate needs you may have.
We'll be back.
Cut.
Wayward mind, lovesick blind. Why do I climb these heights to you? Twisted mule always gets my shit confused. What's a man have to prove? Do I have lovesick blind. Why do I climb these heights for you? Twisted mule.
Oh, we're back. Little Junior B action. We got a log jam in the Western Conference at the top, and
Holy
actually
moly.
we got a log jam. I think from the top to 9th, 10 points.
It's the only one being left behind is the Siskins now.
They're 9, so but they're coming on. I don't think you can count them out. Stratford had a great week series with LaSalle.
They're such a good team.
Yeah.
They're quick. They're
It
really
was
quick.
3 or 4 points. You can't ask for more.
Yep.
Chase Furlong Friday night stood on his head for Stratford, the goaltender.
My neighbor.
Yeah.
He's having a good season.
He's having a great season. He's
945 save percentage.
big goal Cole with another goal. But we had to call him Big Save Lewis as he took a puck off the goal line late in the game. So
Friday night or in
Friday
LaSalle?
night. Friday night.
It's no goal, Cole.
No goal. So he's set. I was talking with Razor about this when we were talking about it. He's 7 points now away from 100 for his
That's
career,
awesome.
which is a great mark. And
It's a real milestone in
Yeah.
this league because
Yeah.
you know most guys don't play more than 2 or 3 years now. It's not you don't see a lot of guys like
Daggle.
Daigle
Yeah.
who are going to play 4 or 5 years in
Right.
the league.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Walt
the league
Morris.
has changed quite a bit, and both Spagnolo and Jaden Lee hit 100 points in the same game
Yeah.
last month.
Crazy.
So yeah, I think it's
Yeah.
huge. I think it's a huge milestone for a junior B player. to
It
score
is
100.
such a strong league right now. Like I
Sure
love it.
is.
Like you look at the top 6, there's only 5 points separating
Yeah.
the top 6 teams in the West. Like you've got St. Mary's that has come back to earth. They're tied with Stratford. They've got a game in hand, but they both have 35 points. You got LaSalle 1 point back at 34. Then you got London and Elmira at 31, and then Chatham at 30. Like, and I don't know about you. You've seen more of it, Les, but I would not want to play Chatham in the playoffs with that goalie.
And I don't. It's
They are big and
they are
quick.
big, but they score in spurts. Like we had 2 games against them, and they were 2-1 scores.
Yeah.
But then other teams play them. They're 11-2, 14-3. Like
I know what I wanted to ask you before we go too much further. What is the story with the London team?
well,
There's
a discipline problem in London.
Okay.
with-
yeah.
And
That's putting it nicely.
yeah, that's
Well,
that's
just be
putting
candid,
it mildly.
Like, just be candid. What is it?
Okay,
Like,
well,
yeah.
if anybody which was 519,
Like,
shout
we
out to
don't have to be
519,
polished.
Darren from 519.
Yep.
They had an end of game Donnybrook in
Right.
Port Colborne 2
Yep.
weeks ago.
Yep.
They had 4
Thank you.
guys suspended.
Yep, and the coach.
Well,
Who was
that's an
Brandon
automatic,
Pruss.
right? I mean, that's former NHLer Brandon Pruss, and I don't know Brandon Pruss from a hole in the wall, and I don't know if he is either a proponent of this style of hockey or whether he is unable to control. And again, we mentioned about the World Juniors. These guys are the same age. These are still teenagers.
Yep.
Friday night was another ugly incident with London
Yep.
where the McSorley kid kicked
Kicked.
Yeah, he kicked Spagnolo in the back.
It was Bidgood. It was
Bidgood,
Cohen
Bidgood.
Bidgood, fresh back from the London Knights. He kicked him in the back of the leg off the draw. The referee, to his credit, saw it right away. The puck went down to the London end, and you could see, my angle from where I was standing, I watched him tail Bidgood and rammed him into the boards. His gloves were off before Bidgood knew what was going on, jumped him, and Bidgood's gloves never even came off, and yet he got thrown out for fighting
Yeah.
as well. I'm not really sure. Beside the point. So I don't know. I haven't heard what McSorley's getting. He's got to get 3
an automatic,
minimum.
Yeah, it's a 3 minimum. And in Junior B, if your team gains so many game misconducts, the coach gets suspended again.
Yeah, so,
but
I
his
mean-
goes up. It'll go up incrementally, right? So
The thing
We'll have
about
to
that
see.
team as well, though, is that they are also an extremely quick team. They have
and
that
they're
big.
right back into it now.
They have that big Swedish
Oh.
goaltender. I can't remember something Strom,
Yeah.
Hailstrom or something like
Yeah.
that. Anyway, he's very, very good. He's a big kid. They're deep. They're quick. They're a typical London team, which is impressive when you consider who they lost. They lost Chard, who may have been the best player in
Yeah.
Junior B last year, And they lost that other defenseman who was a first year who was up playing junior A, and I'm not going to be able to remember his name.
I just have one more question that I had on the weekend was, why is London with a population of 600,000 in the league?
Well, I think because they have an A team as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't quote me on that,
Yeah,
but
I
Guelph
think
was the
that's-
same
yeah,
way.
Guelph
right?
was the same way. It's because they have an OHL
Kitchener.
team.
Kitchener was the
Kitchener,
same
yeah.
way. They have an OHL team, so you can have a
You can have a B team. You can't have a C team because
No.
of the demographic.
right.
Well, respectably though, like Kitchener, for instance, is like less than 200,000. Like London's
Well,
almost
that's
a big
Kitchener
city,
Waterloo now, which is
Yeah.
over 300,000.
right? So no, I just wondering,
Yeah.
just curious. I was asked that, and I'm like, that's a good question. But anyway, sorry, Les, go ahead.
Yeah. There was at the end of the Stratford game Friday night, Hunter Nagy on a face-off took an elbow to the jaw, and then turned around and he had his head down. He blocked a shot by accident, so he got hit there. And then as he was coming to the bench, the LaSalle defenseman elbowed him in the head. And I was watching the video again today, but the referees never made that call. I've noticed something doing all these games in the Western Conference. The Western Conference refereeing is completely different from the old Midwestern referees. In the Western Conference, they seem to let the teams play a little more, get away with a little more stuff. We had 2 penalties in LaSalle Wednesday night, is all it was. I'm not going to talk about the overtime, too many men on the ice, but
So no refs from the Midwestern League came to this division. Is this what you're saying?
well, the Midwestern referees do the Stratford games still, and some of the
I
Waterloo
think that's the
games.
case, isn't it? The
Yeah.
Midwest refs
The
do
old
the Midwest
yeah.
Barnes,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So,
Yeah,
and
I
then
don't
Again,
know.
I don't know for sure.
Then Friday night in Stratford with the original Midwestern referee, it was a penalty affair. Like,
Really?
and it was the same type of game from Wednesday night. But I also had somebody say to me, well, a midweek game, referees seem to just want to let them play and go home.
Fair.
I totally understand it. So this weekend is showcase weekend.
Yes.
Everybody's in Caledonia.
Caledonia.
Stratford and St. Mary's do not get off with an easy weekend.
No, they do not.
Stratford gets St. Catharines at 10 a.m. Friday morning, and then Port Colborne at 10:30 Saturday morning. St. Mary's has who Friday night?
They get London Friday afternoon at a 4:30 game, and then they get Ayr Saturday
Air
night.
Saturday night. So Air is
they're-
Air is the cream of the crop.
I love that team. They're big, they're nasty, they can skate, they've got good goaltending, they've got a lot of
I'd
good
like to get into some analysis, but what I will ask you guys to explain for listeners that don't know is, what is the purpose of the showcase tournament?
The showcase tournament is to bring all the teams into one center, and so that way it draws in more scouts.
We've heard many times
Some
from
higher
scouts
teams,
saying, I'm not going to drive around the Midwest
Yeah.
loop and watch a game.
Yeah.
It's not worth my time. I can stay in Toronto, grab a hotel room,
Yeah.
and watch 6 games on a weekend.
Yep.
So, and that's the purpose, is that fine, we'll bring all the teams to one spot, go get your hotel room, pack a lunch, and you can watch all of our teams
It's
and all
like
of our players. And there's-
Clarkey was mentioning they go down to Michigan to see the high school
Yeah.
showcase,
Tournament,
if you will, tournament. So same type of flavor there,
Exactly.
just
Yep.
exposure and all in one center. Okay.
Yeah, it just brings everybody, and it hasn't been in Stratford yet.
What
I
are-
could see it coming eventually.
What are your thoughts about it? Like, do you think that that's a good thing? Because
I like it because it is more exposure for the kids.
I was talking to a St. Mary's person, and they were saying that they're playing Ayr in it, and they're not going to be getting that gate, which would be a huge attraction on a Friday night in
Yeah.
St. Mary's if Ayr there. So is that gate money lost?
They count against the season, yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, I would probably describe it as a necessary evil.
But
because
every
scouts
every
aren't
team
gonna count.
loses
Right.
2 gates because I don't
Yeah.
think even Caledonia picks the gate money.
Yeah,
for
it's
the-
all-
Because it's a
all-
it's
all
a
league.
3-day tournament,
Yeah.
like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And most
December
teams,
6th to 8th.
Yeah, most teams don't draw flies to this because people from LaSalle are not likely to drive up.
Right.
Like, I mean, even in Stratford's case, Caledonia's maybe an hour, a little more, but it's a 10 o'clock game.
Like, you're taking the day off work?
Yeah.
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 Yeah,
Bus
they call
leaves
the
at
game.
7 a.m.
But, you know, it's
Wow.
like, I mean, I don't. Not only will I not go watch that game, I don't even want to go
But-
and call that game. You know what I mean? It's like,
thing-
I'll be more than happy to go see
Why?
games. And I went up last week and watched Listowel to watch them play St. Mary's last weekend. But
So
I
Holly,
think
when
you-
you come on the radio with Les, do you get $500 too?
no.
Oh, you don't?
First
Oh,
of all, first of all, as my agent, Les gets a cut of that. And of
Just
course,
teasing.
you know. So.
It's the 10 o'clock game. As you know, you'll
That's
get some.
about as
You'll get some
unroutine
Stratford.
as
You'll
you
get
can
some
get.
Stratford fans there because Stratford fans travel.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So you'll get the diehards there. But you know, I didn't see any in LaSalle, but there was probably only 50 people in the whole rink. But
LaSalle on a Thursday night?
Wednesday night.
Wednesday night?
Wednesday,
Yeah.
yeah.
We'll just,
Thank
Yeah.
you, no.
we'll
Who's
take your,
making
take
the
your word
drive down
for it.
there? I'll
That's,
wait.
that's sit down in your basement and listen to Les
Right.
Yeah, with a
General
warm
on the radio.
ginger ale.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the first game I have ever called from right at rink level.
Okay.
So seeing the far
Yeah, why
end,
was that?
That's a
because that's
challenge.
the only place they have.
Wow.
Yikes.
And
like a glorified
seeing at the far
definite.
end, it's, you know, hope you pick a number and away you go.
That's a nice thing about radio. is You don't have to be right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't-
Because nobody else
We're
knows.
not, yeah, we're not voice and flow that night.
Yep, exactly.
There's
So,
such a delay you'd be 5 minutes behind.
so it's a necessary thing for the league to help them to attract the talent. Because, like, you know, if somebody says, well, how am I going to get exposed to scouts or whatever, because there's still people who think, you know, they're going somewhere.
Right.
So you can say, oh, well, we have our annual showcase and all the scouts that are going to be around for such a level are going to be there that weekend. So, you know, you're
So just a couple questions, guys. I don't get to see the games at all, just with my schedule. So it's good to have you guys here. Tell me a bit about Listowel. They're 14-7. Looks like they're having a pretty decent season. Like with the dominance that they had last year, are they still pretty stacked, or
Well,
what-
they're still coached by the same guy, Jesse
Cole, who's
and
fantastic.
He is a fantastic coach.
Great
So,
coach.
as
Yep.
I mentioned, I went up there last Friday to watch them play St. Mary's, and frankly, they look just like last year's team. Now, they still have some guys back.
Yep.
One of my favorite players is Wiley Burkett. Now, if you play against Wiley Burkett, he will not be your favorite player. But those are the kind of guys I like. I like guys that
Sure.
can skate,
guys you want on
shoot,
your
and
team.
score,
Yeah, of course.
and they have sandpaper to
Right.
them. So, and Vader's brother there too, and Carter Arts is still a very good goaltender. And Listowel scored a lucky goal, and I don't mind calling it a lucky goal because the goaltender who was playing Armlin shot was ringing the puck from behind his net, hit a stanchion, popped right out in front of the
Oh,
net,
jeez.
right to a Listowel player who just backhanded it home, and they won 3-2. That was
Right.
with 2.5 minutes left in the game.
Yeah.
Great hockey game, but they are always the same thing. They are tough to play against.
Yep.
They are structured, very sound defensively, very smart hockey players.
Well
and the one
coached.
thing about them is that they always seem to play with a chip on their shoulder. They always seem to play a little bit pissed off.
I think
Yeah.
as it shakes down throughout the year, you're going to see Listowel rise to the top.
And I think
upper
that's Colton
echelon.
Lansing on their
Yes,
bench, isn't
it
it?
is.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
Lansing's
anybody who
one of the
watched him
assistant
play,
coach, so-
they a lot of them played just like he used to play.
Yeah.
He was a high talent guy, scored a lot of points, but he was no fun to play against either.
Excellent. Appreciate that. We just talked about LaSalle. Obviously, they got a pretty good program down there. How did they compete in the old Western Conference? Were they a brute?
Well, last year was very similar in that you
Yeah.
had London and St. Mary's and LaSalle and one more. There were 4 teams that were right up there with Strathroy, I think.
Yeah, Strathroy. Yeah.
And so there were 4 teams probably within 4 points at the end of the season. So it was a gong
Now-
show standings wise last year. So when you had 2 or 3 of the best teams from the Midwest, now you've got 6 or 7 teams that are making a gong show of the standings. And I think those standings will flip 30 times between
Oh, yeah.
now and the end of the year,
Yeah,
and
fair.
it won't matter. The only way to not get a really tough opponent in the playoffs is to miss the playoffs, because I mean, Strathroy could finish 8th, and they've already beaten St. Mary's, and they've
Yeah.
beaten LaSalle, and they've beaten London this year.
Right.
LaSalle's goaltender, Winbeal, he is 6'4", 200 pounds, and
That's the prototype
he is
now.
Windsor
right?
Spitfire.
kidding, eh?
Right.
He's Windsor Spitfire property.
Okay.
So he practices with Windsor every week.
That doesn't hurt him.
Friday night, he did leave the game after a collision with Tyler Kelly, but he come way out to play the puck, and Kelly went to play the puck, and they hit each other. It was,
Right.
You know, but prototypical, like the goaltenders are just
They're
monsters.
big
now.
kids.
Yeah.
Let's just say that I wouldn't have had a shot at playing net.
Well, there
in-
are some
There are
old
some-
Rogie Vachon looking
Yeah,
guys.
Mike
out there.
Vernon,
Yeah, Stratford's goalies are
And
only
let's
6
face it,
foot.
they didn't
right?
have the flow rates.
Right.
Both the St. Mary's goalies are 5'10".
Yeah. They're speaking
doing
of St.
okay.
Mary's, last 10 games, 5-4-1. What's going on with them? Is it injuries?
Reality
Like it's. I noticed they're
league.
taking a lot of penalties.
50 game
Not as many
season.
as London.
Number
but-
one, the rest of the league is catching up. They had the benefit of 14 returnees, but there is something missing there. And I have to be careful because I am kind of passionate about a couple of players. There are a couple of passengers out there that the coaching staff seems to have a real like for.
Okay.
And anybody who's watched hockey with me at all, like this fellow over here, knows that I have a propensity to
Pointing
get
to
on
Les.
players that might be construed as a little bit.
soft.
That's the word I use.
Okay.
And the weird thing for me is that I see on occasion those players that are favored by the coaching staff, and I cannot figure out why. They go out there, they lose puck battle after puck battle after puck battle. It's not like they're lighting it up with goals.
Right.
And so they've got a couple of these guys now, and they just made a trade. They traded away Dylan Searles and Tanner Ducharme. Both guys are well over 6 feet. Both guys like to deliver the body. They play physically, and they traded both of them away because they weren't playing because of the two guys that I shall remain nameless. as far as
Okay.
I
I'm
know who you're
concerned.
talking about.
All right.
And they're not, like, these kids they're keeping, and they're not scoring, and they're not hitting, and they're losing puck battles. So they're trading away a size, which is a commodity that they lack,
Right. Which is
and bringing
like,
in, now
you
they
need
brought in
the
this
playoffs.
Oletic. They brought in this kid Oletic from, I think he's from the Toronto area.
Yeah.
He's 6'3". He's got some nice size. But the other kid they brought in, Gavin Stone or
Smith
something,
White,
Gavin Smith or
yeah.
whatever it is. He's another small guy. They need help on D. And they're messing around with forwards. Like, their top six are still their top six. Cohen Bidgood's back from the Knights, so they still got that top line with Spagnolo and Lee and Vortman, and the second line of Hodkinson and Bidgood and McQueen Spence. Great first two lines.
Right.
Few teams can
Yeah,
match
they're
that.
solid.
But they're not getting any scoring from the bottom six.
Really? Okay. That's
And
tough.
So you were made the reference there about the Leafs earlier, not getting any points out of their bottom six. St. Mary's has that same problem right now.
Right.
And having
Stratford-
said that, Stratford's rolling.
Stratford right now they're getting
Stratford looks really
it's
good right
their scoring is spread throughout the team.
right.
I've noticed Reese Brown since he went down to the third line has just been a man on a mission.
And I was
Really?
going to say, pretty much from the addition of Nagy,
Yep.
Stratford's really started.
And it's mostly, like, other than Lewis, they're mostly rookies in
Yeah.
Stratford.
Yeah.
That is, like, on
well,
like,
having said, like, they're not all 16-year-old rookies.
No,
they're
but
rookies, but not
they're
you know,
rookies.
The American
but,
kids are not.
But that's
16.
Junior
where
B rookies.
Junior B rookies,
Yes.
like, that's where you've got to tip your hat to Nick Parr,
Yep.
Clarkey, all
That's what
those
they do,
guys.
right? That's
Right.
what this organization
But
does.
that's
They
what
beat the
was
bushes and find
missing,
hockey
like,
players.
after Dinny left, right? They weren't able to go and find those guys. Stratford just, went deep last year in the playoffs and then lost a bunch of guys, but they were able to rebuild. Like,
But
they're
last year's
rebuilding
team
on
was
the run.
a team full of rookies as well.
Right, yeah.
And- and-
but good goaltending hides a lot of flaws,
Well,
right?
and, that's
they
the
were
addition-
getting that.
The biggest ad, other than Nagy, is Furlong. And
yeah.
Furlong, who I don't mind saying on air, I don't work for the team, so I don't mind saying it. I foresee Furlong taking the number one job from
Really? Well,
looks
McDougal's.
Do you want me to say hi
McDougal's
to him
got
for you? He's my neighbor. Furlong.
Hey, I love Chase. He comes on the bus. He's always got a smile on his face.
He was out
Happy-
shoveling the driveway
happy to-
today. I said,
Yeah.
good.
Did he have
Well, you know
did he
what?
have socks on this time?
Of course he's happy. He doesn't have any more
He
12-hour
was
bus
wearing,
rides.
he was
And I-
wearing flannels and a t-shirt. I'm like, you'll catch your
Hey,
death
I've
with
got-
that.
I've gotta
He probably
say-
didn't have any socks on either because he never does.
I've got to say, McDougal, 9 wins, 5 losses, 1 overtime loss, 906 save percentage. Furlong is pushing him.
Yep.
So that's where I think, I don't know what their relationship, Les, you would know better than me, but when you have two goalies that have a healthy relationship, it's good for the team. It's when you have one guy that thinks he's better than the other guy, whether he is or he isn't, if you don't make that backup feel like you're part of the team, it just creates dissension.
I don't think Carter McDougall knows what being a bad teammate is.
That's great to
from
hear.
your perception.
From my perspective, and I see them every game
Yep.
on the bus, you know, if he's not playing, he's still the same guy. He's
That's the
just
teammate
ready
you
to
want.
go, right?
That is the guy that you want, is where you put the team ahead of anything else, right?
Yeah.
Like and obviously you've seen them more than anyone. But if McDougall's not, you know, in the playoffs, if he's not going and Furlong goes in, a good teammate's like, come on, guys, I want the team to win. Would you rather be playing? Obviously, we're all human.
Yeah.
But that's where you get the character. Like when you get guys, you know, at the NHL draft, everyone's got the stats, but they do the character reference.
Absolutely.
Because if you get a guy who's all about me, like, you know,
Yep.
talk about these NFL guys, right? Wide receivers and stuff. It's all about them.
Yep.
Wow.
So
That doesn't
Can
translate.
I just
at
say
all.
one thing? Chris Chessel's chimed in, and I
Thought he might.
I was looking at the kind of the business aspect,
Yeah.
and I know that they're all subjecting themselves to a couple games of the home gate. But he brought up a good point. He's like, we're losing a London gate and we're losing an air gate, and both of them would have been 1,000 or more.
Yeah.
That's a really important to a team that size, especially in St. Mary's, the
For
little
sure.
big engine that could in
The place was
in the
packed
Western.
Friday night for that London
Right.
game. It really
So
was. Well,
I
it
just
was
wonder why
rock
they
and rain.
why they take those showcase games away from St. Mary's. I mean, there could be, you know, there's so many other teams and it's 6-1, half a dozen of the other. But there's a difference between 700 at a game in St. Mary's and 1,100.
Yeah.
Like there just is.
Yeah,
St.
in
Mary's-
fairness,
Right.
everybody can't play
yeah,
Pelham
yeah,
in the showcase, right?
yeah. St. Mary's
Oh,
and London.
okay.
St. Mary's
You
and
know what I
London
mean?
are the only two teams that are facing conference teams.
What's that?
Bec-
Sorry.
They're the only two teams in the same conference facing each other all weekend
So there you go.
Why
because
is that?
it's a crossover weekend
Because
Okay.
of the odd number of teams.
because of the odd number of teams in the
Gotcha.
Eastern Conference.
Yes.
So one
yeah,
game.
it's what, 12 and 11?
Yeah, so one game has to involve
Gotcha.
two from the same conference.
And so you got to remember, so we're just over a month out of the trade deadline, which will be a good thing. And this month for Stratford is like wild because they play LaSalle 4 times in the month of December, and then throw in the St. Mary's game on the 13th.
That's a
this
lot.
this
That's a
hockey
lot.
operations
Top
team
3
is gonna
teams.
they're gonna know if this is the team or do they gotta.
Why do they
Twinkle.
play LaSalle 4 times in December?
It's
like
horrible.
honestly.
Yeah. It's the scheduling is it.
Do
No,
they
We haven't
Or
played.
sit
We
in
haven't
a
played
room and
Waterloo.
smoke
We haven't
one
played
and-
Waterloo yet.
No shit.
That's crazy.
Yeah, well, that was the
That's
first game that
crazy.
St. Mary's has played London.
You and
You
I
know.
could do a better
Oh,
job than that. right?
after
We
10 Miller Light.
Let me
We-
know.
we-
We'll
yeah.
we'll suck back 10 Miller Lights and we'll come up with
It's
a
like
better
they
schedule.
forgot Stratford and LaSalle. Yes, Stratford and LaSalle. Did we play them? Yeah, no, 2 more times.
We
When
play.
are we going to get Waterloo there? Oh, right. Yeah, we forgot about
Waterloo's got a
them.
team still?
we,
Oh, they are in this league. That was under my
We-
piece of
You were
paper here.
supposed to remind me.
we do go to Waterloo the
Like,
last
good
game before
Lord.
the Christmas.
I
before
remember
the Christmas break.
I went to
so-
Waterloo to watch St. Mary's play them, and
Yeah.
the fans did nothing but bitch about realignment.
Yeah.
Nothing but bitch about
Oh,
it.
when you're
I
not
love it.
good, that's what
Because all of a
happens.
sudden,
been
instead
great
of
for
being
the
the
league.
center of the universe like Kitchener Waterloo
Right.
always
Mention
is,
that, Holly.
now they're the Far East team, and they got to drive to win.
Nobody's talking about them. That's why.
And the funny thing is, they have one of the best players in the league in that Evan Klein kid.
Yes.
He's a peach. He really isn't fun to watch.
Yeah. They're, it's
Not much else, though.
yeah.
All right.
It's an interesting month, and we'll see where it goes from there. So.
Yeah. Should we crack into
Crazy.
the Irish? Before we do that,
Yes.
I don't think we're going to get another
No,
break, so
no.
let's get into just the remaining sponsors
Yep.
here. We're going to go with the Urban Barber, established in 2019. 3 barbers, appointment-based, full-service barber shop. We invite you to book online through our social media channels of Facebook, Instagram, and Google. It'll show you our full schedule to allow you to book anything to facilitate your visit. The Urban Barber.
Brighter Vision Counseling, Psychology, and Wellness, providing compassionate and effective counseling services to individuals and families in need. They provide a safe and supportive environment where everyone can heal and grow. Brighter Vision.
Yes, awesome. The Irish.
Irish.
What about Bentley's?
Go ahead.
It's on Ontario Street, right?
Bentley's Bar,
there, right?
Inn, and Restaurant. Official bar and restaurant of the Armchair Chirpers. 20 draft beers on tap. Daily food specials. A fabulous place to spend the night in their lofts or executive suite. Locally owned and operated by the Bentley family.
Great people. And
Super
just an
people.
overall blanket statement. And we absolutely appreciate all of the people and companies and people that we have on board for our sponsorships over this course of the season, and forever grateful, and thank you so much.
Yes.
And if somebody's out there looking to sponsor somebody,
Yeah.
Yeah.
we'll talk.
We've actually had some people approach us and say, hey, how do we get in on this? And, hey, we got to go through a very heavy recruiting process. But no,
Miller Lite, and we'll talk.
Right?
You have to be vetted. Yeah. And,
No, like Jeff said, we're very humbled that people have thought enough of us to put their trust in us, and it doesn't go unnoticed. So thank you for...
And the thing that I like too is a listener of the show and a friend of ours is Blaine Myers, and you know, he just said, I didn't know anything about a podcast before you guys approached me about this, and with his generous donation for this show, and he goes, man, it's kind of cool to hear your business name on a podcast,
Right?
So those little, you know, tingly good feeling exchanges with our sponsors is just pretty cool.
Like Patrick, you know, from Domino's Pizza, when I would show him, and this is kudos to Cam and Dylan as well, with the logos at the bottom of the YouTube broadcast, like where they've been able to implement everyone's logos. Like, these guys are rock stars, and so, you know, Sherry from
Brighter Vision.
Oh and it's just. It's
near
been
the
a great
Oven Barber.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
But no, it's we're very blessed and grateful for everyone's support. So
Yeah.
kudos.
All right. Stratford Fighting Irish.
Tough game.
Wow.
Because they were missing a lot of players.
Missing 7 guys. Not to make excuses, because I know that Elora was missing a couple guys, but they lost 2-0, and that could have been 2-0 for Stratford. Like in the first period, that goalie made probably the save of the year right in front of us, right in front of the Armchair Chirper zone. Like
Colin Dunn
made a kick save, right pad save. Puck went out to the hash marks. Stratford player had an open net. Shoots it and it wasn't along the ice.
I still don't know how that puck didn't go in.
And Dunn
was
dove
unbelievable.
in midair, and it hit his paddle, I think, when he dove to his right. And it was like we all had our arms in the air, like Stratford was going to go up 1-0.
And that was real early. That was
Yeah, that
Less
was
than a minute
minutes
into
in,
it
yeah.
was less than a
first
minute
couple
into the
minutes
game.
in.
Shift,
Yeah,
I think.
yeah.
He also made another save in that game where he was deep in his net and just kicked that pad out, right?
Yes.
You were saying how hard that is.
Well, because the goalie's butterfly. So when these guys go down, and he's a big goalie, and when the guys normally go down, they just butterfly. But that save that he made that you're talking about, he literally saw it, and it was a bang bang. There was a pass from behind the goal line out to the Stratford player. He one-timed it, and Dunn kicked purposely kicked his right pad out to make that save.
That
That
one I
was a
remember,
great
definitely.
save. So
And he
there's
is-
2 goals right there.
He is one of the top, and has been one of the top goaltenders in the league. He was the one backstopping Elora when they won the Super Cup in year 1 of this league 3 years ago.
Oh, wow. Okay.
He had for him an off year last year, and that might have been part of the fact that their defensemen were a little slow, a little long in the tooth, but they are much quicker this year. And I thought they played a fantastic road game.
To
I thought
quote
Yeah,
you
they
last
did.
year about the Elora defense, they were handing it out after 8s at a dinner party.
they had a bit of a turnover problem.
Alora's got a little defenseman, number 88,
I love that.
Yeah.
and he's like a lumberjack.
Yeah. Yep.
I've never seen he was.
Like wooden teeth?
Oh
or-
my gosh, he was just slashed.
That's the
That
old
stick
school.
was just
I used to
hitting
play that.
everybody.
Remember the helicopter defense,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
That's what we call it, the helicopter defense. I thought Alora played a fantastic
Yeah.
road
Great
game.
road game. And Weir played well for
You know,
Stratford.
they made Stratford look like they were skating through sand in center ice. They really slowed it down.
Well said. Yes, the tempo changed a lot.
It wasn't an exciting game.
It was not, and that's what you want to do when you, because Utley wasn't there. He's probably their best offensive player, and so they were missing at least one guy as well. Stratford was missing a ton of guys,
Oh,
but
I thought they did all right though.
three guys made their debut, and I thought one of the guys who made their debut, who has maybe the coolest name in hockey, Sullivan Sparks,
Yeah.
number
Yeah.
65,
Yep.
wearing a lot of purple. Former, I think he played at Laurier with
Casey.
Yeah, Mitch Casey.
Yeah.
And good size, good speed, good handles. And by the third period, they bumped him up to the top line with Stokes and Brulot.
Do they call him
Yep.
Sparky?
I have no idea, to be honest with you. I know him, probably. Or Sully.
That's
Could be Sully.
right.
It could be
Sully Sparky.
That brew line there in the third, they were.
Well,
they
and
were
that's when they
buzzing.
moved Sparks up to that line,
Yeah.
and I thought he was their best
Well,
forward. to
and
be honest
Coach
with you.
Pye made the decision: ride your horses with this team that he had there, and
Exactly.
work with
So,
them. And
You know, this
I
is
thought they looked all right. 2-0.
it's- The unfortunate thing with this league is that it's not a league where you make a living, and so guys are doing other things. And it is, as anybody who follows minor hockey knows, it's silver stick season.
Yep.
And so, you've got Robbins, who wasn't there, and he coaches the Kent Elgin team, I think. No,
Yeah.
a team out of
Yeah.
London.
Yeah, AAA.
Hall,
Essex.
Hall coaches
Magwood.
Yep, Magwood as well.
They were over in Ayr.
Yeah.
They're
And-
bench
yeah.
coaches for the
And
Ayr
Magwood's
Centennials.
Magwood's a 2-point player, and he
Yeah.
scored a beauty goal there in their last home
Oh,
game, didn't he? So
yeah,
at the end of the
fans
day,
loved him. He was the sixth goal, so
Yep.
everyone got a
he
free
was the
pizza.
hero, right? And that after
Small.
after
Right?
Knowles from
Yeah, not
Petrolia
large.
literally stood on his head in the third period.
Oh, my
I
God.
said to somebody at the end of the game, I feel like they had 20 shots in the third period, and somebody corrected me. They said no, Stratford had 24 shots in the third period.
Unreal.
And it was the 24th one that went in to got the sixth
Yeah.
goal for pizza. So
They
it
were
was a
trying to get
good
cute
situation.
though. Like they had a couple of breakaways.
Yeah, well, and
and-
it's such as the nature of things. You're up 5-0. You want to start stowing some pretty
Fair.
goals. Now, the only real loser from this game was the fact that it was a snowstorm, so
Right.
not a lot of people could make it out. And we tried to auction off those jerseys afterwards, but there just
For
weren't enough
shelter
people
link.
here. So I'm going to go ahead and make an announcement here,
Yeah,
if you guys
please
don't
do.
mind, that the ShelterLink jersey auction will be happening online probably about the time this drops, either tomorrow, Tuesday, or Wednesday on social media. So please, the ShelterLink organization, if you've never heard of them, are the people who are responsible for tending to our homeless problem,
Right.
among other things. They do a lot of other things. Don't let me pigeonhole them, but this is kind of the focus right now. And so we only got a couple of jerseys auctioned off. We auctioned off Mitch Casey's jersey first, and then Cooper Leach's jersey, which I was fortunate enough to win the betting on. So what I would like everybody who's listening to do is to follow social media for the Stratford Fighting Irish and get on there. And these jerseys are super, super cool. They got a big picture of the City Hall on the
Yeah,
front.
yeah,
and
they are.
They're so cool,
Congratulations,
man. And
those were designed by Fred Gondor.
by Fred Gondor, who
Okay.
is the photographer / videographer
does an excellent
guy.
job.
He's a fantastic
I
guy.
I hate beating this absolute skeleton of a horse sound system at the Almond. Like it's embarrassing.
Oh.
And that's
Well,
the new
it's
improved.
Embarrassing.
That's the
It's
improved.
embarrassing.
It's not exactly in their defense. That building is not exactly designed for its acoustics.
Fair.
Yeah, but it's
But
not.
they don't help you.
The
'Cause
sound
we were
system they
down at the
put in
end.
there.
We were down at the end where
Garbage.
we always stand, and Amy's sitting there with her flag. If you guys want to bid, I'll put my flag up. And we're going, what are they doing? I can't even hear them.
Yeah.
Right.
You know,
Like if they they
it's-
should get a hold of Armour out of Woodstock again. That's who used to have it before the speakers all got blown.
What was it? $40,000 they
Yeah.
spent.
see, but they've retrofitted. They've brought those. They got those black speakers all
Yeah, they don't work
redid,
either.
and it was that mic.
I know
It was that
it's the
wireless
whole
mic.
thing.
I don't know. Whatever they've got,
It's the
they
whole
better
thing.
they
So
better
I
bring
think
the
in
guy,
the end,
the
what's
guy
probably going to be
back.
better is that they're going to move the auction. There are, I think, 25 jerseys left to be auctioned off.
Yeah.
And some will be done on socials this week. They'll probably do a couple more at home dates in the future. So please, it's such a
Yeah.
unbelievably important cause,
And a great
especially
cause.
at this time of
Great
year.
cause.
To help out our less fortunate, this money that goes toward supporting the homeless, and not just food and clothes. We're talking about mental health help as well, and the whole thing. And I'm not the guy really to explain it, but just to understand this, ShelterLink does so much, and it is
Well,
by and
and
large a volunteer organization.
it's-
So please, folks, find a way to buy one of these jerseys. Besides, they're super cool, and I can't wait to be wearing mine around. I'm not gonna lie, I gotta wash the thing before
And yeah,
because
Yeah.
Cooper Leach literally ripped it off and handed it to me. It's like, okay, dude.
but another big focal point of what you're talking about, Holly, is the fact that it's never been more evident the importance of this organization with the struggles of society these days, and the more and more people that are relying on these organizations. I just think that should be said too, is that the fact that they've never been more over their limit of what they're capable of. So
They are absolutely maxed out.
Yeah.
Due to recovery
Demand.
from COVID and
Everything.
and crazy inflation and everything else you can think
Yeah.
of, and mental health issues. And I can't really leave work and come up here and do this show without driving by the church on Duro
100%.
Street
Right.
and see half dozen people sitting out on lawn chairs, just passing time
On
because
Duro
they have nowhere
Street.
else nowhere else to go. So
Wow.
So please, folks, if you have the opportunity, do what you can to find one of these jerseys. Like I said, not only are you supporting a great cause, they're super cool jerseys. So please, 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 get off your wallets, spend some money. Thank you.
And what's up next for the Irish?
Next is another hockey game somewhere.
Yeah, but
Well, they play at home next week against Strathroy.
Right.
And Strathroy is an interesting, first of all, they have the coolest jerseys.
Orange.
They're orange and black. And especially if they wear that really cool one where
I
it's a
love
big
them.
orange
I love
jet
them.
on the
Yeah.
front. Oh, man, for a Flyers fan, you can't get any better than that. The other thing that Strathroy has is they have what has been determined, the fellow determined as the best goaltender in the league, Evan DeBrouwer. Put it this way, this team through 12 games had given up 37 goals,
Okay.
and they're in last place.
Wow.
They scored 31 goals and given up 37 in 12 games. They're in last place. Evan DeBrouwer, what did Grapes used to say? He's seen more rubber than a dead skunk on the Trans-Canada.
There he is.
okay,
Brian
we're
Holly.
gonna have to release Brian Holly's sayings for Christmas, folks.
Make a top
Well,
10 list of the weirdest
that'll
shit
be a
that I've
coffee
said.
book.
Yeah.
My coffee table
His
book.
own coffee table
Stupid
book.
shit Holly said.
Speaking
Speaking of a book,
Speaking of books, so
I haven't
the-
read one.
Okay, the
Or written one, for that matter.
the book launch for Scoop Denomy's book is Friday, December 6th.
Yep.
Yes. So
7 to 10 p.m.
at the bunker,
Bunker.
on Wellington Street, which
It's
is
a cool little place.
104 Wellington.
Yeah.
104 Wellington, right across from
Kitty
the
corner to liquor
Kitty
store.
parlor.
Yeah, help everybody out. It's a kitty corner from the liquor store.
the liquor
Everybody
store.
listening to this show, they'll
Right.
know where the liquor store is,
Yeah.
I'm sure.
And they do have beer there, I'm told.
Because they never used to, which is cool, because it was
Right.
just a coffee house, because the owner is a recovering guy, right?
Oh, is he?
So,
Okay.
No, it's because they couldn't get licensing.
Oh,
Okay.
I thought
couldn't-
he was.
No.
I was
it's
trying to
'cause
put him on a higher plane.
Yeah.
They couldn't get the beer.
Jeez.
The good old city.
You know
of
we're live,
Stratford.
right?
Yeah.
So we've
He's
got
a recovering
Right?
freaking addict.
So we've got
Our
that on
apologies.
Friday, December the 6th. And then on Saturday, December the 7th, Scoop is setting up a table in the lobby at the Irish game. So you'll be able to get a book there if you can't make Fridays. And folks, come in. Like, I know we were pumping it there the other week when Scoop was in here, but this is gonna. There's only 300 of them.
Yep.
They're gonna sell out. I'm telling you right now. And we've also got Patrick from Domino's being so generous to give a free large 3-item with every purchase until they run out. Like, we've only got so many of those coupons
It's going to
left.
be an expensive day if Stratford also scores 6 goals.
Right? Now, those ones are small pizzas.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, having said that, like I said, it's Evan DeBrouwer coming to town, so 6 will be a tall order.
If you want a good time, that book launch should be good, and there might be an appearance by some Armchair Chirpers.
right? Well,
If you want to laugh, because
if-
we're good.
if you want some laughs and just come and have a Millie Light with the three of us and talk about the Warriors or the Irish?
Well,
or?
I think the thing that we really wanted to get across message-wise is we got a lot of great feedback from Ian's visit on the podcast.
It's a great show.
Absolutely.
Great show.
You know, he's such a wealth of knowledge, and I know that he's going to be obviously talking extensively about the book that he's published, but you know, there's going to be, let's say, like a speakeasy. So, I mean, there's going to be people going through the crowd with a microphone, and you can bring your questions. You can talk to a person who's literally been, you know, in the mix. He's involved with writers for the Toronto Maple Leafs. He's been to spring training for the Blue Jays. He's been to the NHL drafts. Like, he is going to be really someone interesting, and we really encourage you to come out. He's a phenomenal guy.
Grey Cups.
And he's been great. Like,
Yeah.
you know, we got so much kudos from the podcast that he was on. He's going to be live in Stratford.
Right.
With a great opportunity.
Yeah. If you've ever seen like a puck talk, and that's what it's going to be. It's going to be like an open forum.
100%.
Yeah.
Puck talk. You know, there's talk of some of us being on stage with him to, you know, just help him through it and get him through it. But it'll be.
Well, this is all
fabulous.
like self-financed.
Yep.
Like he told me the number that he had to, like it's all self-publishing,
Yeah.
Yep.
self-financed. He sent me a picture of all the books when they came in. He said his heart, you know, blood pressure went down about 400% because it's stressful,
Yeah.
right? Like he's
his
really
on his
stuck
own
his
diet.
neck out. Right. And I'm telling
The thing
you.
is, I don't think he's going to have a problem selling.
Well,
I
I think you're always your own worst critic. So we look at it collectively and say, this is like fantastic.
Right.
It's so good. You're going to get a lot of a crowd that's going to really appreciate this. You're going to blow through 300. In the back of his mind, he's going, oh my God, what have I done? You feel vulnerability when you bet on yourself.
At the
And he's going to be
holidays.
great. He's going to be great.
Oh,
It's
absolutely,
gonna be great.
absolutely. And
So-
so, folks, I'm telling you, come down to the bunker, come down to the Irish game, and then if you can't make either one of those two,
The
then
Warriors
the
game
third
on-
one, the
yep.
Warriors game against St. Mary's on the 13th. I'm just being honest with you, folks. If there's any books left after the 13th, I'll be shocked.
100%.
I'll be
That place
shocked.
is going to be packed.
Yeah,
You
'cause-
better- Not only do you need to get there, you need to get there early.
You need to get there
Yeah.
early. And
Are you going, Holly?
it's-
I might be making an appearance up in the
I know. You got the
gondola.
VIP package that night, eh?
Yeah, I
you get
don't-
to go
which-
up with the
You
panel.
know what that
and-
means, right? It means I don't have to pay to get in.
Yeah. Oh, you show up with last? Yeah. Why do they charge him?
What? You'll have to talk to Clarky about that. He said some stuff. I won't share it online.
good.
Brian's going to make his play-by-play debut that night as well. 'cause
play-by-play or
Uh,
color?
we got to get some training.
I wouldn't
What
say
did you
debut. I'd say for the Warriors, but you guys do such a great job with the Irish. It's great.
For sure.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I never knew analyzing games on air was going to be this fun. To be honest with you, I'm having
Brian's
blast
such a
with it.
great color commentator.
I just
and
think you're a great
analysis
guy, too.
Yeah,
Oh well,
Yeah.
finally somebody
Yeah,
thinks
you're
that.
swell.
anyways.
I don't like.
I'm swelling, all right.
He picks up on the cues pretty quick, and it's just
It's all about timing,
It
right? I
is,
mean, in
it
the
is.
end, it's just two guys having
We-
a conversation
Yeah.
with little or no
Exactly.
dead air,
yeah,
if at all
and
possible.
we've done a few games together, and we don't really stumble over each other, which is a great thing.
Well, he just turns my mic off when he figures I'm done.
Turn the knob down. You're done.
You're talking more than me.
Here comes another story. Turn him off.
Yeah.
Another
Hey,
Brian saying that's not good for air.
Before we stop talking about the Irish, they signed a goalie, Tyre
Fossil, yeah, I don't. Sorry, I got nothing
Played
on
in-
him.
So I did some research.
Played for
Played for Listowel.
He played in Listowel, yeah. He
Toronto Patriots, Junior A, Tier 2.
Um,
and then he was with Laurier, so he must have been playing with Mitch Casey.
maybe playing with Mitch, yeah. But having said that, Zach Weir looks fantastic. I
Oh,
think he's
yeah.
gonna
Really
be,
does. Yeah.
But that's
yeah.
where
Some
it's
of the
good
gold-
for
the player signings
Weird-
going on in the
push.
Ontario Super
100.
Hockey League this year are crazy. Robbie Schremp is
Robbie
playing.
Schremp.
By the way,
He
plays for Strathroy, and he'll be coming next
Right?
Saturday to the
Folks, this
to the
guy was a
Almond.
legit NHLer, right?
Brandon Buck, who's got a long history of playing in cool places as well. And I mean, guys like Fulcher, who played, he was an Arizona State University All-American goaltender. I mean,
Crazy.
The
And-
guys that they're signing
And
at this
not
level.
being absolutely crucial or critical here, but Robbie Schremp, his biggest challenge getting and staying in the NHL was himself. Like
Right.
he had all the talent, all the tools, all of it.
It sounds like he had a
And-
tough.
Well,
like,
it was a tough
upbringing.
go. A tough go.
Right.
A tough go.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
that's not saying, oh, well, there's so many reasons why he didn't.
No,
make it.
no.
He played in the show. He made it.
He legitimately played
What
in the
I'm
show.
waiting for is the first shootout. Because if you remember,
Oh,
Yeah, he'll
my
do the
God.
he was an
cross.
absolute wizard with the shootout. So I'm hoping that maybe next Saturday we go to a shootout and we get to see Robbie Schremp take a shot.
Wouldn't that be
Have
something?
a go at it. That'd be so
Well,
cool.
you know what? We're talking about our people are talking to Shremp's people. We're trying to get him up into the Armchair Chirpers zone next Saturday. So if we can get him up there,
See if we can get him up
See what happens.
before or after the game, or maybe Didi O'Meady will draw him into a fight.
right?
And he can come up and visit you in the third period. He never was known for his fighting, I don't think.
No, Schremp was.
Besides, he's what,
skills.
38 now?
Yeah.
Well, Deeds is over 30. Yeah, it's two
Yeah.
old fellas.
Deeds is 34.
Right? Oh, I love it.
Always
Fair
a
enough.
pleasure, Holly.
Oh, it's been a pleasure as
Great
always.
having
being
you here
guys. Thank you
every
very much.
time.
Yeah.
Thank you
You know
very
what?
much.
Even when you're last minute late.
You always deliver great dialogue and great input, and you're a fan favorite of the show and a favorite of ours too.
Yeah.
So thanks so much,
Well,
pal.
thank you very much.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you.
I think we'll
thank
just
Really
we'll put your
appreciate
name
it.
in the credits and just leave it there. Just in case
Right.
you're-
you. Yeah, well, I'm kind of like a bad rash. You just
Yeah.
never know when I'll show up.
My old Pappy said, "Oh dear, there he is."
I still it's the one with the thorns. Which one was that? The
That was-
thorns and the donkey, or
No, that was
that
like a
wasn't me.
jackass eating thistles.
That's, that wasn't me.
He's smiling like a jackass eating thistles.
Jesus.
oh my god, I love
Yeah.
that one.
Someone will have to explain what that means to me.
We don't.
Yeah, I don't.
We don't have.
We're
I
on the
went
same
and
boat.
I drove all over the place trying to find a jackass. I was carrying thistles. I thought, what happens when I
Right.
feed him this? And then he didn't smile at all.
Yeah.
In fact, he didn't seem to appreciate it one bit. So
Well, I'm there.
You
I'm
probably
sure
thought
he
he.
had.
You probably thought he took karate.
in the end, I
giving you
kind of felt
kicks.
like I was the jackass.
Well, you just never know. You just never know.
Time to cut.
Anyway,
with
thanks,
this type
guys.
of
I appreciate you
conversation.
having me on as
Yeah,
always.
Absolutely.
Just a wealth of knowledge. Appreciate you, brother.
Yeah.
I'm a
And
font of misinformation.
Yeah. What he doesn't know, he'll make it up.
just remember, it's okay not to be okay. Just start the conversation.
Absolutely. And thank you, everyone, for listening, supporting, and tuning in to us every week. We certainly appreciate it. If you'd like weekly updates, just get into our social media channels on Facebook and Instagram. We would appreciate a follow, a like, spread the word, and I think that's it.
I think that's it. Yeah. Good night.
Peace out.
Ciao.
Maybe watch the Leafs on Prime.
Salut.
Wayward mind, lovesick blind. Why do I climb these heights for you? Twisted muse always gets my shit confused. What's a man have to prove? Do I have to walk the knife for you? side.